Though there are plenty of great movies that can be taken purely on face value, it is far better when a film goes full ogre and reveals itself to have way more layers than just about anyone could have expected. One of the best things about the internet is the ability for film nerds to pool their supernatural powers of observation together to uncover awesome movie secrets that have been hiding in plain sight, just begging to be revealed. There are few things more satisfying than realizing that a terrific movie has even more going for it than you expected. So we're going to dive right in and look at some of the very best blink and you'll miss it moments. You'll never again see each of these movies in quite the same way, but thankfully, that is entirely for the better. Who knew that spotting an innocuous pair of earplugs would feel quite this good? I am the badly kept secret of Ash from What Culture, and these are 10 film secrets that were hiding in plain sight. 10. The clock tower is being unloaded in the background. Back to the Future Part 3. No matter how many times you've seen the Back to the Future movies, it is an easy one to miss. In the third film, where Marty and Doc are talking to the train driver about the train's maximum speed, pay attention to what's going on behind them. If you look, you can see a giant clock being unloaded from the train, which is obviously the very same clock that adorns the top of Hill Valley's clock tower in the future. The clock tower is, of course, one of the town's major monuments and plays a significant part in the series' events, with Doc climbing the tower in the first movie to install a lightning rod, which eventually allows a DeLorean to travel through time. Seeing its origin here is an extremely cute touch, even if we all totally missed it the first go-around. 9. Loki's scepter causes the Avengers to argue. The Avengers. One of the Avengers' most memorable scenes is a sequence when the heroes start arguing amongst themselves in Bruce Banner's lab. But what isn't made immediately obvious is that this squabbling is in fact caused by the presence of Loki's scepter, which houses the Mind Stone. Granted, it was not known at the time of the film's release that the scepter contained the Mind Stone, and possibly wasn't even conceived yet. But rewatching the scene today, it is a plot point quite literally hiding in plain sight. For starters, Joss Whedon briefly focuses on the scepter when the argument breaks out, and the camera even flips upside down to indicate that something untoward is happening, along with a high-pitched sound being emitted. This sound rings out again later in the scene as Tony Stark appears to have a headache, suggesting the scepter is affecting the heroes' minds. Elsewhere, you've got that distinctly off-kilter Dutch angle shot of Thor that feels totally at odds with the rest of the scene, and also Banner instinctively grabbing the scepter at the end of the confrontation. It's easy to take this scene on its own terms, especially if you haven't watched the movie in quite some time, but all the evidence is quite blatantly laid out for us to catch. Bitches really do be cray, but only when the stone's getting inside their heads. 8. Marla's bus driver has a black eye and is a Fight Club member. Fight Club. In Fight Club's third act, the narrator puts Marla Singer on a bus for her own safety, and for maybe a second, we get a brief look at the bus driver. His face isn't terribly well lit in the scene, but keen-eyed viewers might have noticed that he is sporting a black eye, subtly implying that he himself is a member of Fight Club and explaining how Marla ends up kidnapped by Tyler Durden for the film's explosive climax. Slightly more obvious is the fact that, as the bus drives away, several of the passengers can be seen standing up and approaching Marla. But again, the scene's low lighting makes it incredibly easy to miss this fact or simply dismiss it as passengers getting up to disembark the bus. 7. Bond learns a poker trick from earlier in the movie, Casino Royale. The film features many moments demonstrating 007's sly intelligence, such as the outstanding parkour sequence where he uses his cunning to outmaneuver a much faster opponent, and the iconic poker game in Montenegro, which sees him using a neat trick he had inflicted upon himself earlier on. In the first act, Bond is playing poker in the Bahamas when his mark Alex Dimitrios uses his beautiful wife Solange to distract his fellow players. That doesn't stop Bond winning Dimitrios' Aston Martin DB5 though. 007 clearly took note of this trick, however, as in the high-stakes poker game at the Casino Royale later, he has Vesper Lynd make an attention-grabbing entrance in a stunning purple dress, leaving the other poker players totally slack-jawed. It's a small moment, but one that nevertheless gives Bond a temporary psychological edge in the game. And given that the movie is all about 007 learning on the job and amassing his signature calculating intelligence, it was a brilliantly subtle way to imply that. 6. Woody Harrelson's character tampers with his grenade before it kills him. The Thin Red Line. Woody Harrelson has a small but memorable role in Terrence Malick's war epic as Sergeant Keck, who memorably dies during an enemy engagement after reaching for his grenade and accidentally pulling out the pin. Before he has time to react, he is mortally wounded by the exploding grenade, and though it's not immediately apparent to viewers, Keck essentially ended up getting himself killed. Earlier in the film, Keck is seen using a knife to bend the pin on the grenade, a classic army tactic intended to make pulling the pin faster in the heat of battle, but one that obviously comes at the expense of safety. To most, it simply seems like Keck got a bum rap with a defective grenade. But if you're really paying attention to him earlier, he compromised the explosive device all by himself. 5. A medieval version of the London Eye appears in one shot. A Knight's Tale. A Knight's Tale is a ludicrously entertaining medieval adventure romp that, with its soundtrack of contemporary pop music and plentiful anachronistic dialogue, hasn't even the faintest pretense of period accuracy. Keep your eyes peeled deep into the movie's third act, however, and you might stumble across one especially hilarious hidden gag. The presence of a medieval version of the London Eye some 600 years before it was actually built and roughly 500 years before the first Ferris wheel was even invented. It gets even better though. You probably assumed the London Eye was simply a CGI addition in post-production, right? Nope. The $65 million movie spent a ludicrous $500,000 of its budget constructing an actual scale model of the damn thing. There is no way that expense would be justifiable to any producer with basic business sense. But you have to admire their tangible commitment to the joke. It's worth it, even if it is just for this. 4. Howard is wearing earplugs before he shoots Emmett. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Perhaps the most viscerally jarring sequence in 10 Cloverfield Lane sees psychopathic creeper Howard holding Emmett at gunpoint after discovering that he and Michelle have stolen some of his tools. Howard ends up callously shooting Emmett in the face totally out of nowhere, and if you're really paying attention to the scene, you might notice one demented added wrinkle. Howard is wearing earplugs. On one hand, this explains why Howard isn't deafened by discharging the gun in such a confined space, compared to Michelle, whose hearing is temporarily affected. And on the other, some fans have speculated it also implies that Howard knew he was going to murder Emmett before the confrontation even started. For his part, director Dan Trachtenberg says the visible earplugs are actually a goof. But in the very least, they explain how Howard's hearing is clearly unaffected by the gunshot, which, without the earplugs, would otherwise make no sense. A happy accident then? 3. The first shot spoils the movie's twist. Us. Much like his debut Get Out, Jordan Peele's Us is absolutely a movie that rewards viewers who pay attention, be it in the form of Easter eggs or visual gags which expand the movie's universe. And hilariously, observant viewers might notice that the spine of the film's plot is effectively spoiled in its very first shot, which focuses on a TV playing an ad for Hands Across America with a VHS case of the 1984 cult classic horror film CHUD, Chud, visible on the left-hand side. In its namesake, CHUD stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers, and though Us's villainous tethered aren't ultimately revealed to be cannibals, they are underground dwellers who, much like the other movie, emerge above ground to terrorize well-to-do humans. The nod goes deeper than that though, as Peele revealed in an interview that his first childhood girlfriend was none other than the daughter of Douglas Cheek, the director of CHUD, Chud. Incredible! Though the VHS is easily missed or even dismissed as merely a playful reference to a trashy classic, knowing how densely symbolic Get Out's visuals were, eagle-eyed audiences may have well put 2 and 2 together right from the jump. 2. Vincent and Jules are actually in the opening scene. Pulp Fiction. It's of course no secret that Pulp Fiction's terrific finale circles back to the movie's opening scene, where Pumpkin and Honey Bunny are robbing a diner. But did you know that Tarantino actually hints at such during the iconic opening itself? While Pumpkin is talking about how much more sense it makes to rob a diner rather than a bank, you can faintly hear Jules having his famous moment of clarity dialogue in the background. And a few seconds later, Vincent can be seen walking to the toilet on Honey Bunny's left. Better still, the timing between the two versions of the scene matches up perfectly down to the very second. In a movie that must have been an editing nightmare, this is insanely impressive. 1. John Wick's new dog was scheduled to be put down. John Wick. The first John Wick ends with the titular assassin breaking into an animal clinic and freeing a pit bull, taking it as his own pet and eventually naming it Good Dog in the sequel. But if you're not paying incredibly close attention, it is easy to miss the precise nature of what John is up to here, and many assumed on initial viewing that John might have just nicked somebody's beloved dog. It's only clearly visible on screen for maybe half a second. But Good Dog's case notes have a "to be put down" stamp on the front, ensuring that John is simply saving the life of a dog due to be exterminated. Given that John himself has spent the majority of this franchise outliving those seeking to put him down, it is a pretty apt metaphor. God bless Keanu Reeves. And his dog. And that's our list. What other tiny film details make the movies that much better? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been Ash, and this has been What Culture. Make sure to subscribe to the What Culture YouTube channel for more lists like this. And don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. Thanks for watching.